How belief imprisons your mind. My beloved ones, humanity is bound like prisoners by the chains of thoughts. In this prison of our thoughts, what kind of stone has been used as the foundation? This afternoon we discussed one of these foundational stones. Tonight we shall talk about the second, an equally important foundational stone. If these two foundational stones are removed, the error of believing that learned knowledge is true knowledge will be revealed, and then people can easily rise above the prison of their thoughts. What is this second stone? What is that other foundational stone upon which the prison of thoughts in the human mind is built, and on which the network of thoughts is woven? Perhaps you do not know. Perhaps you have no idea how we become filled with such contradictory thoughts. Our situation is like an ox cart being pulled by oxen from all sides. The oxen are forced to move in order to reach different destinations. The ox cart is in danger. Its structure becomes loose. The oxen pull it from every direction. Can it reach any destination? Can it attain any goal at all? There can be only one destination for it, one fate. It will be shattered into pieces, destroyed. With the oxen pulling it apart in opposing directions, nothing but destruction can occur. The ox cart cannot reach anywhere. The internal conflict among the thoughts in our mind is killing us. All our thoughts are irrelevant and contradictory, constantly opposing one another. Every ox of thought is pulling our mind in different directions, leaving us confused and suffering in the middle. We have no idea how these contradictions, this conflict, have come to exist within us. I was once a guest in the house of a very famous doctor. One morning, as the doctor and I were about to leave his house, his son suddenly sneezed. The doctor said, "This means misfortune is here. Let's wait a moment, just a few minutes, and then we shall go." I replied, "You seem like a strange doctor. At the very least, a doctor should know the cause of a sneeze. There is no connection between someone sneezing and someone staying or going somewhere. This is mere superstition. It is truly astonishing that even a doctor is unclear about this." I told the doctor that even if I were to fall ill and nearly die, I would not allow him to treat me. In my opinion, his medical license should be revoked. It is wrong. It is very surprising that due to childhood superstitions, he would halt his journey whenever someone sneezed. This idea, acquired in childhood, still affects him even though he has become a doctor, a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons from London. Two thoughts exist simultaneously in him. When someone sneezes, his feet stop moving, and at the same time he is acutely aware that this is utterly foolish, that there is no connection between these two events. Both of these thoughts coexist and operate simultaneously in his mind. How we are driven by collective faith. Thousands of types of thoughts exist within us, and all of them pull us in different directions at the same time. We have become extremely disordered. This is evident. This is why people seem utterly insane. What else can one be? Madness is the inevitable consequence. An infinite number of contradictory thoughts from thousands upon thousands of years have gathered within a single person. Thousands of generations, thousands of centuries are living simultaneously within one person. Thoughts that are 5,000 years old and those that are extremely modern exist together inside that person, with no possibility of comparison or harmony between the two. Thoughts coming from thousands of different directions have accumulated within a person. The ideas of thousands of Tirthankaras and Digambaras, of avatars and gurus, lie within him, and all of them have done one thing in common. Although they disagree on everything else, all religions, all teachers, all preachers in the world always agree on one strategy. They tell people to believe in what they say, They all say, "Believe what we say." They do not agree on everything else. The Christians say one thing, the Muslims another, the Jains something else, the Buddhists yet another. But on one point they all agree, believe what we say. They all speak contradictory things, and all those conflicting words fall into people's lives, and all of them shout so that the person will believe what they say. People are poor and weak. They believe whatever these people say. They all laugh at each other's words, yet no one laughs at their own foolishness. Christians say that Jesus was born of a virgin, and that anyone who does not accept this will go to hell. The unfortunate listener becomes afraid. If he does not accept that view, he will go to hell. So he accepts that what these people say is true. What does it matter whether a virgin gives birth to Jesus or not? There is no need to risk hell over such a notion. Everyone in the world laughs at this idea of the Christians. The Muslims, the Jains, the Hindus all laugh at this absurdity. How can a child be born of a virgin? That is utterly ridiculous. But the Muslims say that while still in his body, Muhammad ascended to heaven riding on a female horse. The Christians, the Hindus, and the Jains laugh at this. What kind of absurdity is this? First, a female horse cannot ascend to heaven. If it were a male horse, it might have the capacity to ascend, for men can ascend to heaven, but there is no provision for women. So a female horse cannot ascend to heaven. If it were a stallion, then perhaps the idea might not have been opposed. It might have been acceptable. And secondly, how can someone ascend to heaven while still in their body? The body must be left behind. The body belongs to the earth. Muhammad cannot ascend to heaven in his physical body. People laugh at this idea. The Christians, the Jains, and the Hindus all laugh, yet the Muslims say, believe it. If you do not believe it, you will go to hell. You will rot in hell. You will suffer in hell. You must accept this. If you do not accept it, know well that you will face great trouble, for there is only one God in the world, and Muhammad is his prophet. People below are coerced into belief, so they accept that what is said may be true. The Jains laugh at the Muslims and the Christians, but they claim that Mahavira was conceived in the womb of a Brahmin woman. How can a Jain Tirthankara be born into a Brahmin family? The true and highest caste is Kshatriya, so Tirthankaras are always born into Kshatriya families. They cannot be born in Brahmin households. Brahmins are beggars, so how could Tirthankaras be born among them? Mahavira was conceived in the womb of a Brahmin woman, but when the deities saw that this would be a great mistake, how can a Tirthankara be born into a Brahmin family? They immediately removed that fetus and placed it into the womb of a Kshatriya woman, and they exchanged the female fetus from the Kshatriya womb with one from the Brahmin womb. Everyone around the world laughs at all of these things. They are utterly ridiculous. First, what the deities have done by exchanging a fetus in someone's womb, how can that even happen? The whole world laughs, yet the Jains become angry. They say, you may laugh at this, but you do not know that our Tirthankaras have declared, and whatever has been declared by our Tirthankaras is absolutely true. Anyone who does not believe this will suffer the torments of hell. If you do not believe it, you will be in great misery. People are compelled to believe in many things by many others. There was a time when people did not know about others' beliefs. Everyone lived in their own separate groups, knowing only what was within their own circle, so there was little intermingling. Now, the world has become very small and everyone knows each other's beliefs. Thus, the intermingling of beliefs among people has reached an absolute point of madness. Now, it is no longer a matter of understanding what all this clamor means. Everyone is busy trying to persuade us of something. The madness of conflicting beliefs. But even in the past, the situation was hardly any better. The fact that Hindus were unaware of the beliefs of Muslims or that Jains did not know of the Christians did not make this situation any clearer. Even among the Jains, there was no unanimous belief. The Digambaras say one thing while the Svetambaras say another. You would be very surprised at the differences in their views. It is astonishing that people can hold such diverse opinions on these matters. One of the 24 Tirthankaras of the Jains is Malinath. The Digambaras assert that he was male, whereas the Svetambaras claim that he was female. The Svetambaras call him Malabai, while the Digambaras insist he is Malinath, and both groups declare that if you do not believe them, you will go to hell. The Digambaras say that a woman can never be a Tirthankara. This event itself is false, so he must be a man. He is Malinath, not Malabai. What is truly outrageous is that there is conflict even over whether a person is male or female. Yet people are threatened that if they do not believe, they will descend into hell and suffer. Therefore, it is better to believe. Across the world, the teachings of those who demand that you believe what they say have created chaos and confusion in the human mind. People listen to everyone, and the impressions of every teaching remain inside them, pulling their being in various directions. And then, after all these religions, communism came along. Communism declares that religion is nothing but opium. In its view, the idea of God is utterly false and completely meaningless. In fact, what Marx said is that communism is the true religion. People must believe in it and believe in nothing else. The Bible, the Gita, the Quran are all false. Das Kapital is the true sacred text, and people must believe in it alone. Thus, a new faith begins. Then, after communism came science. Science proclaims that all of this is futile. Anything written in religious scriptures is false. The only thing science declares is true. And even in the life of a scientist, one scientist will have one idea and claim that he is right and the first is wrong. Then, a third scientist will come along declaring that he is right and the previous two are wrong. And then, perhaps a fourth scientist. Within the mind and spirit of humanity, these proclaimers of truth have created a tangled, mixed web of thoughts that drag people in every direction. Fear and bribery have been used to generate this entanglement. Secret methods of instilling fear and extorting bribes have been used to impose a set of beliefs on people. If you believe, you will ascend to heaven. If you do not believe, you will go to hell. These religious leaders have done exactly what modern advertisers do today, though today's advertisers are not as bold or courageous. For example, the seller of Lux sanitary soap advertises with the claim that a certain beautiful queen once said, "I became beautiful because I used Lux soap." Therefore, anyone who uses it will become beautiful, and anyone who does not will not be beautiful. Consequently, people become afraid that they might become unattractive, so they buy Lux soap. It seems that people are not beautiful without Lux soap, as if Cleopatra, Mumtaz, and Noor-Jahan were not beautiful because they did not have Lux soap. Yet modern advertisers are not yet very courageous. Perhaps in the future they will say, some Tirthankara, some prophet, some teacher declared that only those who use Lux soap can ascend to heaven, and anyone who does not will go to hell. People may even be threatened that only those who smoke Panama cigarettes will ascend to heaven, because smoking and making others smoke Panama is considered very virtuous, and those who do not smoke Panama will be condemned to hell. If someone smokes Indian bidi, they will suffer greatly in hell. If anyone does not believe all of this, they will face consequences. Those who believe will receive good outcomes, while those who do not will suffer. Modern advertisers have not yet become as courageous as the old-school advertisers. They have threatened people by telling them absolute falsehoods, and people continuously listen to and accept these without any resistance. In truth, any untruth, if repeated over thousands of years, begins to seem like truth. If someone continuously repeats even the most implausible thing, repeating it over and over, gradually, little by little, you begin to think that perhaps it might be true. Otherwise, how could it be repeated so many times over such a long period? The illusion of belief and the exploitation of trust. A poor farmer from a village bought a baby goat in the city. As he began his journey home with the baby goat, several rascals in the city thought that if they could somehow seize the goat, they would surely enjoy a fine meal and even throw a party. They imagined inviting some friends and hosting a feast. But how could they do that? The villagers were strong and healthy, while the rascals from the city were weak and puny. To snatch the goat directly from him might lead to a fight and trouble, so they had to be very careful and devise some tricks with him somehow. They decided to use a ruse. Just as the farmer was about to leave the city, one of 4 or 5 men approached him on the road and said, "Hello, greetings to you." He replied, "Hello, gentlemen." Then that rascal looked up and said, "Why are you carrying a dog on your shoulder?" When in fact he was carrying a baby goat on his shoulder. "Where did you buy this dog? It's a fine dog." The farmer laughed. He said, "Are you mad? It isn't a dog. I bought a goat. It's a baby goat." The man replied, "Don't go into your village carrying a dog, or people will think you're crazy. Do you think this is a goat?" And the man went on his way. The farmer laughed and thought this was very strange, but he touched the goat's leg to see whether it was a goat or a dog. That was the rascal's trick. The farmer saw that it really was a goat and felt reassured, so he continued on his way. Along the road, a second rascal met him. He said, "Hello, you have bought a huge dog. I too would like to buy a dog. Where did you get it?" Now, this villager could no longer confidently say that it was not a dog, for now the second man had echoed the same claim, and the two could not both be wrong. The farmer still laughed and said, "This is not a dog, sir. It's a goat." The man retorted, "Who told you it's a goat? It seems someone has deceived you. Do you really think this is a goat?" And the man left. The farmer then took the goat down from his shoulder to inspect it, and it was unmistakably a goat. Both of the previous rascals had erred. Yet a fear arose within the farmer that perhaps he was deluded. Now he began to feel that, instead of being afraid, he should continue along the road. And then he encountered a third man who said, "Hello, where did you buy this dog?" This time the farmer lacked the courage to say that it was a goat. He answered, "I bought it in the city." It was very difficult for him to insist that it was a goat, and he started to wonder if perhaps he should not take it home to his village. He had wasted money, and he would be condemned in his village. People would think that he had gone mad. While he was thinking this, a fourth man met him. This man said, "This is very strange. I have never seen anyone carry a dog on their shoulder. Do you think this is a goat?" Looking around and realizing he was alone, the farmer released the goat and ran quickly back to his village. Although he lost his money, at least he would not be called crazy. And the 4 rascals took the goat away. Because 4 people repeated the same claim, it became difficult for the farmer to believe that what they said might be wrong. And when those wearing orange clothes tell you something, it becomes even harder. And when those people are models of supposed truth and sincerity, it becomes even more difficult. And when they are people who have renounced the sacred of the world, it becomes much harder, because there is no reason not to believe what they say. It is not necessarily that they are deceiving you 99 times out of 100. They are simply holding false opinions and have themselves been deceived. It is not necessarily that they are liars, but they are on the same worn path as you. One thing is certain: When a person is told to believe, that person will continue to be exploited. As long as someone is required to believe what someone tells them, they cannot be free from exploitation. Therefore, the faith, whether it belongs to a Hindu, a Jain, a Muslim, or anyone else, whether it is that of a communist or a non-communist, whoever it may be, once a person is told to believe what someone says, and is told that if you do not believe, you will suffer, and if you do, you will be blessed. As long as this tactic is used, it will be very difficult for a person to have the courage to dispel the entanglements of thoughts within. The burden of belief. I want to tell you that if we wish to dispel the entanglement of thoughts that have been formed within us, formed over thousands of centuries, with traces accumulated over hundreds of years, one thing must be fully understood: nothing is more self-destructive than belief. We must resolutely understand that to believe blindly and accept with closed eyes, was once the fundamental cause of the crippling of our lives until now. Yet people are commanded to believe in them. They tell you to believe them and not to believe others. They say, "Do not believe others because they are wrong. I am right. Believe me." I want to tell you that believing in anyone is destructive, and it will harm your life. No belief at all. Anyone who builds a system of belief as the basis of their life is stepping into a world of blindness, with no light to see, never able to enter the true life of that person. One who believes in others will never be able to know themselves. So, am I demanding that you believe in nothing? No, nor do I require that you must not believe. But we tend to think that if we do not believe in something, then we certainly do not believe it. This is an utterly false notion. There is a state of mind in which disbelief and belief coexist. Disbelief is a form of belief. When we say that we do not believe in God, what are we really saying? We are saying that we believe in the non-existence of God. When we say, "I do not believe in the soul," we are saying that we believe in the non-existence of the soul. Belief and disbelief are similar. There is no difference between them. Belief is an affirmation, and disbelief is a negation. Belief is a trusted affirmation, and disbelief is a trusted negation, but both are forms of belief. One can only become free of the entanglements of thoughts within if one becomes free of the need to rely on the opinions of others, to let go of the idea that someone else can grant you truth. If you hold the idea that someone else can give you truth, you will be dependent in one way or another. If you are freed from one person, you will be bound to another. If freed from the second, you will be tied to a third. And you can never truly be free from dependency. And being freed from one only to be tied to another offers relief only for a moment. When a person dies, 4 lean figures carry the corpse to the burial site on their shoulders. When one shoulder begins to ache, they switch to the other. For a moment, they feel relief in the aching shoulder. Then the second shoulder aches and they switch again. A person who changes their belief merely shifts the weight from one shoulder to the other. The burden remains, making no real difference. One only experiences momentary relief. If a Hindu becomes a Muslim, if a Muslim becomes a Jain, if a Jain becomes a Christian, if someone abandons all religion to become a communist or something else, if that person merely discards one system of belief and adopts another, there is no real change in the burden that weighs upon that person's mind. The person may feel momentarily lighter, but it is only a transfer of weight from one shoulder to the other. It has no true meaning of relief. I've heard that in one village there were 2 people, one an extreme atheist and the other an extreme theist. Their presence disturbed the entire village. The villagers were always troubled by such individuals. Day and night the theist would expound on his experience of God, while the atheist would constantly refute it. The villagers were caught between whom to follow and whom not to follow. Finally, they decided that, since they were so burdened, the two should be forced to debate each other before the entire village. And the villagers declared, "We will follow the one who wins. Don't trouble us any further. You two must argue, and whoever prevails, we will follow that person." One night, under a full moon, the debate was arranged in the village. The whole community gathered. The theist explained the theories of theism, presenting all his arguments and refuting atheism. Then the atheist dismantled the theist's claims with his own arguments favoring atheism. The debate went on throughout the night, and by morning, the result was that the theist had become an atheist and the atheist had become a theist. Both sides ended up liking the other's arguments. Yet the villagers' problem remained unresolved. Nothing had truly changed. The two had convinced each other, and both extreme positions persisted in the village, so the problem of the village remained as it was. If we change one belief for another, it makes no difference in our lives. The problem of our humanity remains unchanged. It is not a matter of being Hindu, Muslim, Jain, Christian, communist, or anti-communist. The problem lies in the fact that we believe. When we believe, we place ourselves in dependency, imprisoning our mind and binding ourselves in one way or another. How can someone whose mind is imprisoned become free from their thoughts? How can one liberate oneself from the thoughts one clings to, along with everything one believes in? How can one discard them? This is extremely difficult. We might be able to do so if we remove the foundational stone. Belief is the foundational stone at the bottom of the heap of thoughts. On the basis of belief, we are initially loaded with thoughts, and as these thoughts grip our mind, fear takes hold. What will happen if I let them go? Hence, people say that if they are given something better to grasp, they can abandon their current thoughts. But the very idea of letting go never enters their mind. True freedom, liberation from the mind, does not come from changing one's belief, but from being free of belief altogether. The Buddha visited a small village. Some villagers brought a blind man to him and said, "This man is blind, and we are his closest friends. Although we have tried in every way to convince him that there is light, he refuses to accept such a fact. His argument is so perplexing that we are left baffled. Even though we know there is light, we must admit our failure. He tells us that he wishes to touch the light. So now, how can we make him touch the light?" Then he said, "Fine, if I cannot touch it, then I want to hear it. I have ears. Let the sound of the light come so that I can hear it. And if that too is impossible, then I want to taste it, or if the light has a fragrance, I want to smell it." There was no way to convince this man. Light can only be seen with eyes, and he had none. He complained to the villagers that they need not speak of light merely to prove that he was blind. He felt that they had fabricated the idea of light only to demonstrate his blindness. Thus, the villagers suggested that the Buddha, since he had been in the village for a while and might be able to help this blind man understand, should do something. The Buddha replied, "I am not so mad as to try to convince him. The problem of humanity has been created by those who try to explain everything to people who cannot see. The preachers are a plague upon humankind. They tell people things that no one can understand." He continued, "I will not make this mistake. I will not explain to this blind man that there is light. You have brought him to the wrong person. Do not bring him to me. Instead, take him to a doctor who treats those who can be cured of blindness. He does not need preaching. He needs treatment. This is not a matter of explaining or of his believing what we tell him. It is a matter of treating his eyes. If his eyes are healed, there will be no need for you to explain. He will be able to see for himself, and he will know." The Buddha thus stated that he did not consider religion to be merely the preaching of philosophy. It must be about actual healing. Therefore, he advised that the blind man be taken to a doctor. The villagers liked what the Buddha said, so they took the blind man to a healer, and fortunately, after a few months, he was cured. By that time, the Buddha had moved on to another village, and the blind man followed him. He bowed before the Buddha, touched his feet, and said, "I was mistaken. There is indeed something like light. I just couldn't see it." The Buddha replied, "You are certainly mistaken, but your eyes have been healed because you refused to believe what others told you until you experienced it for yourself. Had you accepted what your friend said, the matter would have ended there, and there would have been no need for your eyes to be treated." People who believe never attain true understanding. Those who passively accept without personal experience are forever bound by their beliefs. The journey of the blind, that of clinging to the notion that if others say there is light, then there must be light, ends right there. The journey only continues as long as the doubt remains, never dissipating. Doubt only arises when you sense that something is said to exist by others, but you cannot see it, and so you cannot accept it. You can only truly accept it if you see it with your own eyes. Such a kind of doubt, "I will only accept it when I see it with my own eyes," must reside in the mind. You must use your own eyes. Seek your own understanding. Those who want you to have faith tell you that you don't need your own eyes. Mahavira had eyes, and that was enough. The Buddha had eyes, and that was enough. So why do you need your own eyes? Krishna had eyes and wrote the Gita, so why must you see for yourself? Read the Gita and enjoy it. Krishna could see, and he described what he saw. Therefore, why must you see? You simply need to believe. Those who can see have already spoken. The only task for you is to believe. True knowledge has already been attained. Why must you acquire it on your own? This preaching keeps people blind. Most people on earth remain blind, and even today, most will likely stay blind in the future because the fundamental alchemy of curing blindness, the desire to overcome it, has been killed. It has been destroyed by the imposition of strong belief systems. In truth, it must be said that no matter how refined Krishna's eyes are or how far they can see, they are not your eyes. And no matter how beautiful Mahavira's eyes may be, like lotus blossoms, they are not your eyes. Your eyes might not be magnificent. They may be like simple wildflowers rather than lotus blooms, but they are your own. Only with your own eyes can you truly see. Therefore, you must seek to understand on your own, for you cannot attain anything by worshiping the insight of others. In fact, the journey to self-understanding can only begin when you let go of other people's ideas. When something external is provided as a substitute, the true quest cannot start. Without support or fulfillment from another source, when nothing can be attained from others, the challenge arises within you to find your own way to understanding. People are very lazy. If one could attain knowledge without any effort, why must you make an effort? If enlightenment could be reached simply by believing, without any seeking, then why should you struggle on your own journey to enlightenment? And when someone says, "Believe me, and I will lead you to enlightenment," why must that person exert such enormous effort? When someone invites you, "Sit in my boat, I will take you to the other shore and then your journey is over," you might prefer to sit silently in their boat and sleep. But no one can reach any destination in someone else's boat, nor can you see through another's eyes. No one has ever seen, nor will ever see, as you do. You must walk on your own feet, see with your own eyes, and live by the beat of your own heart. You must live by your own self and die by your own self. No one can live in another's place. No one can die in another's place. If there is one thing utterly impossible in this world, it is that no one can take another person's place. Two soldiers lay on the battlefield during World War II. One soldier was near death, grievously wounded to the point where there was obviously no hope for him. The other soldier was injured but still alive, with no indication that he would die. The two were friends. The dying soldier embraced his friend and said, "Now I must say goodbye because I have no chance of surviving. I propose one thing. Exchange my service record with yours. Your record is poor, full of negative remarks, but mine is good. So let us swap records. This way, the officers will think that you have died while I live. Because my record is good, you will have a chance to be promoted and become more honorable. So hurry up. Swap our records and numbers." The dying soldier's wish was utterly true, for soldiers are defined only by their numbers. They have no names, and a soldier possesses only his service record, not his soul. Thus, it is right that they should exchange records. The wicked will die and the good will live. Yet no one would say, "I'm sorry. I can take your record and number, but I will remain who I am. I am wicked and will remain wicked. I drink. I will keep drinking. I chase after promiscuity. I will continue doing so." How long can your good record stay good? How long can a record fool anyone? On the contrary, both of you would become wicked. You will die like the wicked, but the wicked will live. At least, everyone will then say that the good have died. They will offer flowers for you. If you were like me, they wouldn't offer flowers. You cannot take someone else's place, and I cannot take yours. Your desire to exchange places comes from your love for me, and that may be fine, but it is contrary to the law of life. No one can live or die in another's stead. One cannot know in another's name, nor can one ever see through another's eyes. Let go of blind belief. Embrace your own understanding. Those who demand you have faith instruct you to look through the eyes of someone else, to see through the eyes of the Tirthankaras, the avatars. We have constantly believed this, and that is why we have become entangled in a web of blindness. Thousands of teachers have created a great clamor, and the followers of those teachers have generated so much noise that they have instilled a profound fear of hell and an insatiable greed for heaven. Gradually, little by little, we have come to accept what they say. Their words have produced internal contradictions so severe that the journey of our lives is disrupted instead of moving forward. Thus, the first thing a wise person should do is bid farewell to all the contradictory thoughts within and decide, "I will not believe. I want to know. Only on the day I come to understand for myself may I then call it belief." Until that day, nothing in me can truly be called belief. It is deception. It is self-deception. I cannot fool myself by claiming I know when I do not, by asserting that I have realized when I have not. I must not blindly accept. This does not mean that you must reject everything. It simply means that you must stand apart from both acceptance and rejection. You say, "I neither agree nor disagree. I do not claim that Mahavira is wrong, nor do I claim that he is right. I simply state that I do not know what Mahavira says. Therefore, I have no right to either agree or disagree. When I eventually come to know that he is right, I will agree. If I come to know that what he says is wrong, then I will disagree. But I do not know yet, so how can I say either way? If our mind can remain detached from both acceptance and rejection, then these entanglements can dissolve immediately. If the very foundation of this web is broken, it will become as fragile as a castle built of cardboard, collapsing with the slightest push. As it stands now, it is like a stone castle with an imperceptible yet solid foundation. Thus, our mind is destined to understand that those who blindly believe and accept are the religious, while those who reject and disbelieve are the non-religious. But I tell you, neither the believer nor the disbeliever embodies true religiosity. The truly religious person is one who, with complete sincerity, declares, "I do not know, I am utterly ignorant," and therefore has nothing to accept or reject. Can you find the courage and strength to bring yourself to that midpoint? If you can, then the castle of your thoughts may collapse immediately, with no difficulty at all. I have shared with you 3 points this morning, 1 point from the afternoon, and 1 point for now. Reflect carefully on these 5 points. Do not start using them simply because I have spoken of them. Otherwise, I too will become just another preacher to you. Do not believe in something merely because I say so. For what I say might be entirely wrong, fake, or meaningless, and you could end up in trouble. Do not believe what I have said. Instead, think, search, and discover. And if through your own experience you feel that there is some truth in what I say, if you come to find, by looking through the window of your own mind, that there is truth in it, then that truth will become your own. It will no longer be merely mine. In that case, it will not be my understanding, but your own, and whatever you do will become the means by which your life moves toward wisdom and awakening. However, anything you do through mere belief will only lead you into darkness and unconsciousness. You must contemplate this point further. The illusion of repetition. How blind repetition leads to unconsciousness. Before we sit down for our evening meditation, I will answer some questions about meditation that have been asked. First, I will speak about them, and then we will meditate. A friend once asked if, during meditation, one can recite a sacred mantra, for example, and whether that helps. It cannot help at all. On the contrary, it can become an obstacle, because when you recite a mantra, you are repeating the same thought. A mantra is a thought. When you recite a name, you are repeating the same word. A word is a fragment of a thought, a piece of the thought. Therefore, if you wish to free yourself from thoughts by repetitively repeating one thought, you are making a mistake. As long as you continuously repeat one thought, it seems that no other thought arises in your mind, because, as I have said, the very nature of the mind is to become stuck on one thought. But the thought you keep repeating is nothing more than a thought like any other. There is nothing useful in repeating it. On the contrary, it is harmful, because the unconscious repetition of a word is like the sleep that is induced within the mind. Take any word and repeat it over and over. The sleep will soon arise within you. It is not awakening. Repeating any word is a method to create sleep. Therefore, if you are unable to sleep, it might be useful to repeat Rama, Rama, or Aum, Aum at night. But that will not help you discover the true self or realize deeper aspects of existence. This method is known to everyone in every village, yet we have never truly contemplated it. When a mother wants her child to go to sleep, she says, "Go to sleep, my darling. Sleep, my dear. Sleep, little one." She is using a mantra. She is repeating the same 2 words, little one, little one. Go to sleep, little one. Go to sleep, little one. After a while, the child promptly falls asleep. If the mother believes that the child sleeps because of her voice, she is gravely mistaken. The child sleeps out of boredom. If you sit near someone's head and say, "Go to sleep, little one. Go to sleep, little one," that person will become irritated, bored. A small child cannot run far, so the only escape is to fall asleep, so as not to hear this meaningless repetition. The only way to dispel this meaninglessness, the only escape, is to fall asleep. Otherwise, the child will keep hearing, "Go to sleep, little one. Go to sleep, little one." How long will a little one be willing to listen to such nonsense? No matter how much the child is loved, eventually it will grow irritated, and in that irritation and boredom, the only recourse is to sleep quickly. Only then will the meaninglessness cease. Thus, if you continuously repeat little one, or Rama, Rama, whatever word you use, it does not matter. They all become the same. Then you begin to make your mind as the mother makes the child. After a while, the mind will become annoyed, bored, and fed up, and there will be only one escape. It will fall asleep to avoid the meaninglessness. If you think that falling asleep in this way is meditation, you are gravely mistaken. That state of sleep is one of unconsciousness. Yes, you may feel comfortable after it. After a sleep, you will indeed feel a kind of relief, as if you have escaped from worries, pain, and the burdens of life. It is like the sensation of an alcoholic, a drug addict, or someone using opium when they become intoxicated. They forget all their troubles until they regain consciousness and realize that the pain still remains. Then they need even more opium. Initially, a little is enough, but after a few days they need twice as much, and after a few more days, even more. Some sadhus have used so much opium that after a while, when its effect wears off, they must even have a snake bite their tongue to induce further intoxication. Nothing else works. People always need more and more intoxication. So if today someone recites Rama, Rama for 15 minutes, then tomorrow they will need 30 minutes. After a month, they will need 1 hour. Then they will need 2 hours, then 10 hours. In that case, that person cannot manage life because they must recite Rama, Rama before beginning any work. Thus, they are forced to retreat into the forest and abandon everything, because this repetitive recitation of Rama has become an addiction. And now, the more frequently that person does it, the more it seems to become important, for if they leave it, they will feel pain. Eventually, that person declares that they will recite continuously, 24 hours a day. This is reaching the edge of madness. No genuine knowledge, no true understanding arises in that person's life, and the nation that people trapped in this madness lose everything and become soulless. Our country is a simple, living example. Our nation has lost all life, glory, and soul. It has become soulless because of these absurd practices. Glory does not grow through repetition. Repetition only produces unconsciousness. Thus, those peoples have learned to repeat, to sleep by repeating something. If your child is ill at home, you may evade the situation by reciting Rama, Rama. When you become unconscious, the child disappears, the world disappears, and you learn nothing more. If you cannot find a purpose, you recite Rama, Rama to avoid the situation. Now, you do not worry about work or food. The impoverished peoples, the suffering nations, continually try to avoid doing anything constructive, and consequently, they become increasingly poor and deprived. The power of meditation, awakening through effort, not repetition. Life changes through struggle and confrontation. Life transforms through the effort to face and change it. Life does not change by keeping your eyes closed and chanting mantras. All of that is nothing but opium, so forget all about chanting words, names, or mantras. Meditation is about awakening the deep awareness within you. It is not about lulling it to sleep. That which lies hidden within you must be awakened until nothing inside remains asleep. Your entire being must awaken. Meditation is the state of this awakened awareness. Yet in India, you might be deceived into thinking you have attained samadhi when you are, in fact, unconscious. Saliva drips from your mouth. You lie there with glazed, drooping eyes, and people proclaim that you have attained samadhi. This is a state of frenzy, but people believe you are in samadhi. This is neither true meditation nor genuine samadhi. It is simply madness. Becoming unconscious is a disease. In America or Europe, if someone falls into madness or illness, they are treated. But in India, people become so mad and ignorant that they sing devotional songs around such a person, claiming that this great soul has attained samadhi. Had the wise arranged treatment for all these great individuals, they would all be ill and unhealthy. Their affliction is a mental malady, the ultimate result of spiritual tension. It is not samadhi when someone lies on the ground, unconscious, with drool streaming from their mouth. What is extremely absurd is that devotees sing and praise such a state, saying that the person has attained samadhi. Samadhi implies complete awareness. It does not mean sleep or unconsciousness. Samadhi implies that one has become so aware that no darkness remains. Everything becomes brilliantly clear. The lamp of awareness has been lit deep within. Samadhi does not mean sleep and unconsciousness. It means awareness, alertness. A person in samadhi remains aware and awake to everything in life, every moment, every breath. All this madness and frenzy is not samadhi. But if someone gathers devotees around them, why would that person claim that something is wrong? What is happening is right. It is good. This absurdity has persisted for thousands of years, and unfortunately, we cannot say how much longer it will continue. We are only helping it to continue. I do not call chanting or repetition meditation. Meditation implies two things: the effort to meditate and the cultivation of awareness within oneself. And tonight, in our meditation session, we will not sleep. Now, we will begin our night meditation. You must not slip into sleep. Relax your body, relax your breath, and let your mind be silent without falling asleep. Awaken everything inside you. That is why I instruct you to keep listening to the sounds around you, because if you listen, you remain awake, but if you do not, you might fall asleep. Sleep is good. Sleep is not bad, but do not think that sleep is meditation. Sleep is necessary, but is not meditation. Remember that. If sleep does not come, you might induce sleep by chanting a mantra, but do not make the mistake of thinking that you can experience something spiritual that way. You might indeed err, and that is not difficult. Like someone taking a sleeping pill, you might chant a mantra. That will act like a sleeping pill. When Vivekananda spoke in America about mantras and meditation, a newspaper reported that what he said seemed good. Mantras appeared like non-drug sleeping pills. They are effective for inducing sleep. If you wish to induce sleep, that is one matter, but bringing about a state of meditation is entirely different. Therefore, in the experiment we are about to undertake, everyone must relax completely. Everyone must listen continuously, but maintain complete wakefulness within. Tomorrow, we will speak further about the phenomenon of sustaining wakefulness, so that everything becomes clearer to you. Before we begin this experiment, understand a few things. First, this is a very simple experiment. Do not entertain the idea in your mind that you are doing something very difficult. Anything we perceive as difficult becomes difficult, not because it is inherently so, but because our thoughts make it so. Anything we think is easy will indeed be easy. The difficulty lies in how we perceive the problem. For thousands of years, we have been told that meditation is very hard, reserved only for a few, as if it were like walking on a sword's edge. All this has created in our minds the notion that meditation is only for a select few, not for everyone. We have only known prayer, worship, or chanting Rama, Rama, or singing devotional songs loudly through a microphone so that not only we but our neighbors benefit. We believe that these are all that is available to us and that meditation is for only a tiny minority. This is wrong. Meditation is available to everyone. Meditation is so simple that it is hard to find someone for whom meditation is impossible. But one must be prepared. One must understand one's own capacity, one's role, and one's attitude when stepping into this simplicity. It is as simple as the simplest thing possible. Just as a bud can bloom into a flower, the human mind can transform through meditation in the simplest way. But for a bud to bloom into a flower, it needs light, water, and fertilizer. This is natural. It's inherent need. Similarly, the mind has its own requirements to become meditative. This is what we are discussing.